View from the Gutters, episode 92. Welcome to View from the Gutters, the comic book podcast where each episode we discuss a collected edition, trade paperback, or graphic novel, and then recommend and vote on the book for the next episode. Warning: the discussion portion of this show has massive spoilers for that book. On this episode, we discuss Paradise X, and to skip ahead to the recommendation section, skip to 5715.
All right, let us begin.
And the Lord said,
Thus beginneth the lesson.
And the Lord spaketh to the listener, saying, "Not this shit again."
and the Lord asked, what episode is this again?
This is episode 92.
How many episodes do you think I've started with the question, what episode is this again?
Basically
N
all
plus
of them.
one.
Yeah, most of them.
More than a few.
Was this
but less than
92?
too much.
Yeah, it's 92. I know because I looked it up, and the last time the five of us were all on the mics together was episode 82.
Well, who are the five of us?
Well, I don't know. Who are you?
I'm Andred Chard.
I'm Tobiah Panshin.
Brant Gillihan-Eddy.
I am Joe Preti.
And I'm Cade Reynolds.
Oh, shit.
The
Whoa.
core five.
Well, your mic is still crackly. Go
Is it crackly?
go again. Keep talking.
Whoa.
Is
Okay,
that
that
the
seems
dirty
fine.
channel?
Yeah, it's a dirty channel.
Various radio DJ, morning radio DJ reactions. Whoa.
What would your radio DJ name be in the morning?
It would be DJ. Fuck this! I need coffee. No, probably not good.
It would be Fabulous Joe
It would
in the
be.
morning.
I would be Amazing Joe. Probably
Joe Amazo in the morning.
Joe Amazo in the morning.
Joe Amazo in the
morning.
morning.
Yes.
No.
And your morning show would be Cup of Joe.
Yeah,
It would be.
No, because then you're going to have
copyright
obvious-
infringements.
Yeah, not only that, but then you'll be associated with what's his name on.
Joe Scarborough.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be associated with the Joe Scarborough?
Hey,
Probably
he's
most
a moderate,
people.
okay?
Probably those people. Radio DJs in general scare me.
Well, they're frightening people.
But
Could I call it Cup of Schmo?
sure. And I see no problem with this.
That's
Go
good.
ahead.
That's
Start
good.
your own radio station. So yeah.
What is this?
I
So
know,
how is this
apparently.
not my own radio station?
I
So-
don't know.
Two quick announcements.
Yes.
First, in 2-ish weeks, we're going to have the long run number 9,
Yes.
which is going to be Nausicaa.
Which is 3 squared. I had to get 3 in there. Brant was like holding up fingers, and I was waiting for
He was
3.
doing
So-
some steal first maneuvers over there.
If you haven't started reading Nausicaa yet, get cracking.
Yeah.
Myself.
Because we're going to be talking about that pretty soon.
Yeah, Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. It is 7 volumes
It
long?
was 7 paperbacks from Viz.
Mm-hmm.
It was just recently republished as 2 hardcovers that you can get for less than what the 7 paperbacks would cost you. So just get the hardcovers.
Cool.
It's like $40 on Amazon, and they are of amazing quality.
Sweet.
So great. Announcement number 2. While we were getting ready to start the show, Chard loaded us up with all his extra Halloween candy. So we
Yeah.
are raring to go.
Except for me, because I didn't really have them.
You had some.
I had a
Well,
little bit.
I
had,
make
like,
up
a
for Brant
Skittle.
because I'm on a sugar high right now, and I've also been up since 5:30 this morning because I worked today. So I'm fucking ready.
Yeah, I've been up since 7 because brew day starts early on my days off. I brewed some beer with Matt McGinnis. But why? You'll find out soon.
Ooh, I feel teased.
Yeah, that's
I
the
mean, I
teaser.
feel tell you the tease too, but
Official
that's only
tease.
because Chard has his foot in my crotch right now.
It is awkward, but there's nowhere else to put it.
It's just a thing. I don't mind.
Well, let's say there's no better place to put it.
That's
Now I
true.
know why you wanted me to sit over here.
Yeah. Brandon needed you to sit over there because Joe
the
and I
thin
need special
veneer
foot
of,
to crotch time.
The thin veneer of causality that separates your foot and my crotch has just been ripped away.
Yeah.
And to think I build this as special time with my friends to my wife.
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
I mean, come on, you can't get time like this anywhere else.
You're not wrong about that. This is an experience unlike any other that I could pay for or experience for free.
Yes.
Word.
A steal at any price.
It really is.
I feel bad for our listeners,
You mean
to be honest.
I feel
Oh,
like
God,
someone's
what are you
stealing
talking
something
about?
from me, no matter how much it costs?
Often have I thought to myself, I'm pretty funny, but I wish I could share myself with the entire world. Now I can. I think our listeners are lucky.
I'm pretty sure the entire world doesn't listen, though.
No, which is a shame.
But anyone in the world can.
That's true. We do not discriminate.
Except for you, Frank.
Frank, you cannot. Frank, don't listen to him. You can listen as much as you want.
Two guys named Frank were just like, what? Anyway.
So yeah, we're actually here to talk about something, and I can tell just from the mood of the room that we all really, really love this book.
We're really excited
I can't
to
wait
I
to
just
talk
want to
about it.
say that Cade is dead to me since this is his fucking recommendation.
Well, also was
And I
already
wonder-
dead to us via Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to know that who I need to hit with a fucking hammer that voted for
Honestly,
That would be me.
Any mouse that I held towards Cade in my heart died after the Stephanie Brown long run.
What? Did
Why?
we do that?
Yeah,
We did that, right? We
Yes.
talked about that? Okay.
that was a thing that happened.
Sometimes
I
can't
remember it very well.
I don't.
Wait, why was
Issue
that good
after
to you?
issue after issue of Robin from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I did.
All that
I did
delicious
that.
Chuck Dixon 90s Robin.
You know, it reads fast.
Why
It
was I
reads
dead
fast.
to you after that
Yes,
one, Toby?
because oftentimes you only placed one. We only read one issue of a several issue arc and
Hey,
had absolutely no idea.
There
what
was probably
happening.
an important moment with Stephanie and Tim in there.
Probably was.
Probably.
Probably.
For
all
most
I
of
can
those,
say.
I just went page. Okay, here she is on the page.
Yeah.
Read what she
That's what you're
says.
supposed
I
to do.
don't
That's
work
what I
that
told
way.
you to do.
Anyway,
I will say this:
It's worth it.
as
I agree, Joe.
regardless of my
Thank you.
feeling, regardless of my feelings, regardless of the fact that I'm about to beat Chard to death with this mic stand, regardless of my feelings about the work we read, I feel like I finally gained closure on it because I own the first volume of it and I've started to read it 8 fucking times and I've never.
Are we talking about Paradise
We're
X
talking
now?
about Paradise X.
Oh, is that what we were talking about?
Yeah.
yes, for the record, we are talking about Paradise X, and similarly, I read the first 2 volumes, Earth X and Universe X, 2 or 3 times, and I've never read Paradise X before, and now I'm kind of glad because it means that I didn't have to read it a second time.
Well, the only time I've ever read any of these was for the show. So I've read Earth X twice because we had 2 Earth X episodes. I've read Universe X once and now Paradise X once.
I feel like I have closure now.
Yeah, no, I do too.
This was definitely the Godfather 3 of the Earth X
Yeah,
trilogy. I mean,
think
there are
that's a
things
fair-
that I
that's a fair
enjoyed
assessment.
about it, but overall, I look at it and been like, I mean, it's clear. I've looked at this is not what I'm forgetting his name.
Jim
right?
Krueger?
Yeah, this is not what he wanted for the story. Marvel was giving him pressure because the sales were dropping off. They made him change the ending. So it's clearly not the vision. I feel like there's a lot of things that were clearly not.
I
don't
read
feel-
that as well, but honestly, by the time he was getting to the end, there were a lot of problems with the series already.
If I was his editor, I would have made him change it too. Because, goddamn, you can only go on for so long, dude. I get it. It's
No, well, that's and
fantastic,
that's-
wonderful, imaginative
That's
scope.
the biggest problem I have with this, which is why I
But-
think The Godfather 3 is a fucking great analogy, because that movie did not need to be made. If it had been made the way Coppola wanted it to be made, which I'm not going to get into, that would have been a brilliant film.
Well, even if it had been made the way it was, but made a little shorter.
Well, and that's also true. It's like, but
But I think that that's exactly right when talking about Paradise X. It didn't need to be made. It didn't add anything to the story that we didn't already get out of Universe X.
So my observation is that I feel like it had to be made because Universe X does hang with some pretty big
Yeah.
issues, right?
Yeah.
People can't die. That seems like something got to kind of resolve.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you notice, and I mean, part of this, I've said this before about other series about trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the way they had to be published. This one reads like the first issue and a half are basically a recap of Universe X with some other random stuff interspersed, and the entire Herald's mini that leads into it is kind of like completely superfluous. It was not necessary.
But my favorite part.
Really?
Yeah.
I dug it.
Because, well, I'm an
Is it because of
alternate-
Bloodstorm?
Well, Bloodstorm is one part of it that I really enjoyed. It's also, I don't like Reed Richards, so that was fun. And
You're like seeing him hung by.
yeah, exactly. He's just everything bad that could happen to Reed Richards happened to him in that series. And I love alternate universes. I'm the alternate universe guy. So like,
that's just like, hey, let's explore these 3 really interesting universes. It's basically like this mini story. Now, issue 3 of Heralds, where it's just like, and the Watchers have come to be like
Watching
to judge
the
the Watcher, and then we tricked the Watcher, and that's where it kind of lost me a little bit. But the first 2, where it's just like, hey, we went to this universe where like science is banned, and so it's like this weird Conan universe, and it was like Hyperion's there, and he's just fucking genociding people because he's pissed off, and he needs to like fix whatever Aaron sent him to fix. And then you've got the universe where everyone's a vampire and they can't eat anything anymore because there's no more humans, and so they're just like in a very like Escape from Planet of the Apes moment. They're like, well, just fuck it, we'll just blow it up, we'll blow the planet up, we'll just die.
Yeah, and that seems like a very interesting setup for a story.
Yeah,
and it goes for a few issues and then it veers off in this completely other direction. And that stuff doesn't even get dealt with. I mean, some of those things never even got resolved. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we last see Bloodstorm walking off with the Black Panther and Storm to like do a blood transfusion, and then we don't see her again after that, do we?
Well, but it's
don't
referenced because Deathlock says, I'm the only one that won't get my wish.
Okay.
So, yes, it is.
I mean, one can presume that it works, but like that
she's
plot
in,
thread
she's
just
in
ends.
issues of Paradise X, but I don't remember what happens to her.
Right, she's in a few of them, and it ends when she goes off with Storm.
There's that party that they're at.
Right, that's the last you see of her.
That's what I was thinking, too. Yeah, I don't know. That series, it had moments that I really enjoyed, but I mean, again, it was my favorite part of the whole series, but it didn't really go anywhere, except I liked the ending because of the Hyperion story, where it's basically like, everyone's going to get their wish now, and Hyperion's like, yeah.
So you're speaking specifically of the Herald.
Of the Heralds, yeah. I really enjoyed the Heralds. But then I started reading Paradise X, and immediately I was like, and then I would get to one of the in-betweener issues that were not the numbered Paradise X's, like Devils or... what was the X-Men, and there was the first one. I think it was X-Men.
There was Ragnarok later on.
Yeah, there were a few of them.
There was X-Men and Ragnarok, and then there was Devils. And I enjoyed those a lot, actually, just because they were kind of told in a different style than the main series, and they felt more refreshing. I liked the Devils one.
I liked the Devils one, too.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike any of the kind of...
It's the one where they go trap, what's his name?
Cut it.
In the jar.
Yeah. Jude, the entropic man.
That guy.
Yes.
Jude. Huh?
Hey, Jude.
Hey, Jude.
The
entropic. Don't be
entropic.
Don't be the third law of the second law of thermodynamics.
I liked that issue. I liked the whole... I thought that it was interestingly self-referential, where everyone's like trying to guess who, or Ben Grimm specifically is trying to guess who Devil is.
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Well, yeah, the new Daredevil, DD, but not Matt Murdock.
Deadpool.
Right.
And then he's like, you're Deadpool. Oh, you're the Lizard. You're Kirk Connors or whatever. And he's like, why do I have to be somebody? And I think that's directly because of fans going... and trying to guess who Daredevil was in the previous
But then
series.
nothing really like comes of his story. Like, he never dies.
Well, he's Mephisto.
He's Mephisto.
Well, I thought that Mephisto was disguising himself as one of the Daredevils.
Oh, I assumed that he was all of them.
I thought that was what was being implied.
Yeah.
But then, like, Mephisto goes off and does other things, and X-51 is... Or maybe it's not X-51. Somebody's talking to Daredevil. And... it ends on this note where I'm like, okay, maybe Mephisto wasn't all of the Daredevils.
Yeah, I thought Mephisto was the one Daredevil that didn't want to die, because all the rest of them did.
I don't remember one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just another dangling
I think it was.
thread.
I think it was one of the appendixes where X-51 is like going around and talking to different people. Which
that could be.
And
Also,
yeah, because he talks to one of the Daredevils and he says, if that devil was a clone of me and I want to die, why did he not want to die?
Right.
Or he screamed out at the end telling me
that
to
whole
live.
scene. Like, I really liked Earth X. I really like Universe X. But Paradise X, like, there are too many indefinite moments, too many dangling plot threads, too many cases where something feels resolved and then they unresolve it so that they can resolve it again. Like you get, or at least I got the impression at the end of Universe X, like by revealing to Mephisto that he was a human, they like un-Mephisto'd him because he turns into a caveman at the end. But then when you come into Paradise X, it's like, no, he's Mephisto again. And we have to fight him a second time.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like them artificially continuing the story just to do it a third time.
There were a lot of times in this book where I was disappointed. Like, I felt that a lot of it didn't have to be there. Although I did get that feeling with some of the stuff in Universe X too.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, why are you telling me this? Because there's other things you should be telling me about that I'm more interested in.
Yeah, I felt like Earth X was a much more like narrow. I felt like the core books of Earth X were a narrower, specific story. And then there were a couple of issues that kind of helped flesh things out. And then Universe X started to get a little more broad, and then the extra issues that weren't part of the main numbered series were still kind of filler, but they were kind of useful, but they weren't superfluous, but they weren't necessary. And I feel like Paradise X, it was 14, all three series were 14 issues long if you count all the additional stuff. You really had to read all of them.
I have 23 issues for Paradise X.
Yeah.
So
why?
I have
Because Ragnarok was 2 issues.
Well, no, there are 14
Herald's-
base issues, not including the crossover issues.
You're right. Excuse me. So right. So it's like you could read Earth X 1 through 14, fine.
Right.
Universe X 1 through 14, and probably be fine. There might have been a couple of side issues that would have done. You literally cannot read Paradise X 1 through 14 and get that story. I mean, you have
agree.
to read A and X or whatever to even get the
The end.
resolution.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out to be even the resolution that the writers originally intended. But I felt like you had to read, the 3-issue miniseries beginning
yeah.
and the inner between ones to even get some of the basic plot points. So I felt like the series was veering into the territory of like the worst excesses of all crossover events, where it's like, we're going to have all these issues and they're going to be called other things. And like, you don't really need to read them, but you really do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, at that point, why don't you just make it numbers 1 through 23 and then just make me fucking do it?
I totally agree.
Yeah, I do too. And I wonder, just from what I read about this, and granted it was from Wikipedia, so who knows how accurate it is, but I wonder how much of it was editorial. Earth X was a huge success. Universe X was pretty successful. And Jim Krueger definitely had plans to do Paradise X. But a lot of the end of this feels... while I feel the beginning of it is kind of insists on itself, I mean, I kind of feel that that's not necessarily a bad thing in Earth X or Universe X, because I think that is there as well. Like, you have to buy the story he's telling wholesale. I feel like where this really starts to fall apart for me is in the end. And that's where it really starts to just, I'm like, what fucking happened to the battle? What happened to all these fucking plot threads that you were laying down for this whole story? Hundreds of pages. And then all of a sudden the Kree are there, and then the Kree are not there, and then everything. It's like, I feel like things he had spent tens and tens of pages setting up were dealt with in like 3 or 4 panels, and it just felt very unsatisfying.
I read the Wikipedia page as well, and it said not only was he forced to change his ending, but A and X were supposed to both be double length issues.
Yeah.
So, like, you basically had 4 issues reduced to 2, and a different ending where apparently Captain America and Captain Marvel were going to fight, and Captain Marvel dies at the end, and Captain America takes the throne of this paradise, which would be this big payoff for all the things that they were setting up about, the limitations of democracy and the role of kings and why sometimes a king is necessary.
Well, and even things that they were laying down earlier. And it's not just that Marvel dies, it's that Cap kills him. Cap has to kill Marvel and then kind of ascends to the throne, even though he doesn't really want it or deserve to be there so much. And so I think that, this is This suffered from Marvel going, oh, this didn't sell like Earth X or Universe X did, so we're not going to let you finish it, which is something that really, really upsets me about
Absolutely.
the comic book world. And it's endemic to fucking media because you get this with television shows all the time, which it's just like, this doesn't immediately have great ratings, but we're going to fucking cancel it right now.
But I want to make a counter argument to that particular train of thought. You have this series, was 20-something issues, sold pretty well. Then you had its sequel, and it was another 20-something issues, and it sold okay. And so I have to, I get it. It sucks. Sometimes you hear these stories about editors coming in and being like, okay, well, clearly we're just going to change it because you're not selling fast enough. But in some ways, I kind of wonder, like, if you're the editors at this company with not a lot of overhead and you're kind of having, and not only are you, like this is not Prime Earth in any way, especially by the time Paradise X comes out, right? Like part of the mystery around Earth X was it was implied to be Earth 616 in the future. So I think that was why a lot of people were like, "Whoa! Like, is this really a glimpse of where our characters are going to go?"
It was advertised
be,
directly as that because it was the Kingdom Come of Marvel, and Kingdom Come is the future of DC. I mean,
or
later
was at the time.
It was also an Elseworlds, but it was an Elseworlds that was like, this is the future of DC.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Earth X was a what if.
Right. But by the time it gets to Paradise X, it's like basically retconned itself to be like, well, because of this event, there's alternate timelines, and this actually isn't Earth 616, it's Earth 21944 or whatever the hell.
9997.
Yeah.
And also, they do mention, though, that, like, what if there was a previous universe to the one that is now?
Right.
Almost implying that, yet again, this may be the future of 616.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you said it wasn't.
Right. And so, like, I guess from my perspective, I can't help but feel like if you're the editor for this book, you've been working with Krueger for years, or maybe you're not the same editor team, but still, you're this company, you've let this guy basically go off into his own corner and do his own thing. He's done dozens of issues of it, and you're talking to him and he's like, and then Cap is going to fight this other guy, and we're going to have another 30 pages of all this crazy exposition, and then Cap is going to kill Marvel, and it's going to be this thing, and then I've got another series that I want you to greenlight, which is Tales of Earth X, which is going to be a prequel to Earth X, and then I'm going to do another 30 issues about all that stuff. And I can imagine being an editor at this point being like, dude, you ain't got the numbers, wrap this shit up and we're calling it a day. And I don't know that's the wrong call. Like,
I mean, I don't necessarily think it is either, but it's coming in at the 11th hour and going, well, these two specials we were going to have that you're planning on having that you've plotted for, you don't have them anymore. Now you have 40 less pages. Yeah. That's not a sound editorial decision.
Well, I mean,
regardless of how much,
but according to
like,
Krueger's own quote, that was midway through Paradise X.
Yeah, it was
so
like
that is a year.
6,
He still has
5,
a year
6.
out.
Well, that's
if we're
fair.
talking about
That's
24
fair.
issues or something, maybe.
I mean,
6 to 7
I think
months.
it's 6 months, but yeah, and I agree with Brant on that. Is like sometimes once you hear an editorial decision come down, you can't be stubborn and go, "Well, I'm just going to keep telling the story I thought I was going to tell." You have to say, well, it's time to adapt. It's time to adapt to that editorial decision.
And editors they're responsible for not only helping the material hew to the universe that they're participating in, but they also have to kind of evaluate how well things are going to be received, right? Like, let's take one of my favorite books, but we acknowledged how dense it was. Avengers Forever, right? Like, I'm sure Cute Busiek could have come back to the table and been like, you know what? I can make that shit 24 issues long with just as much like crazy self-referential exposition stuff. Like, even if we're only talking about the first half of Paradise X, like the guy was all over the place talking about all these different plots that were interesting, but were they necessary?
Ultimately never led anywhere that I wanted him to go.
I mean, for as exposition heavy as Earth and Universe X are, this just felt 100 times worse in terms of
really
I think
hard.
nothing happened.
I think for me it was
For
right
issues.
before the Ragnarok stuff is when I was like, I can see why this wasn't selling well, and I know that it's not going to please, the ending is not going to please me.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it was even earlier than that. Where I was I understand why people don't talk about this series as reverently as they talk about Earth X.
Well,
I think it was like in issue 4 of the
Yeah.
main Paradise X, and I was like,
That's about where I was.
I feel like I'm like halfway through a story right now, and this is issue 4.
Yeah, like the
how
weird
much more
side
can
detour with all the
happen?
shit about Frank Castle. Like,
Yeah.
whoop-de-fucking
And I love the Punisher, and I like that story.
Yeah.
But it feels out of place.
Yeah, like that should have been its own side branch. Like I guess for me, if this series would have been literally 14, 28, 32 issues, super tight. You just get it published. It's really, really tight and goes everywhere you need it to go. And then you go back and do all these weird fillers. Like, hey, what you didn't know is between this episode and this episode, the X-Men are doing this. And what you didn't know is that there's this interlude with the Punisher. Like,
that was my exact criticism of like King Kong in the movie theaters. Like, it's 3 hours long. I was like, you could have put out a shorter version of this for the movie theaters and then gone back and done a extended edition. And that would have been cool to do for something like this. Is even if you didn't add in issues later, but you added like pages into the trade that weren't there originally. They were just like, here's for the diehard fans. Like these extra bonus pages.
And maybe this was before the industry had managed to wrap its head around that. Because
it's more modern than you think it is, though.
Well, I think this, I mean, aside from, how I feel about, I mean, my comments about the editorial decisions are more general than specific to this. He crawled up his own ass. Like, he got really into the story he was telling, because I don't want to write this off completely. There's plenty of stuff I liked about it.
Oh,
I think there's plenty of cool scenes in it.
Stuff.
But, like, all the most interesting shit were the stories I was not fucking getting. Daredevil down in the land of the dead. I would have loved to read more about that. I would have loved to see more of, like, the avenging
Thor
angels.
And Loki working
Thor and
together.
Loki, like, Ragnarok was one of my favorite parts of this. That was such a cool thing. And, like, all it was the same fucking exposition by whiny as shit X-51 and his whole, like, I thought it was this, but really it was this, but then I thought it was this, but then really it was this, and blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't fucking care. Give me a different point of view character, please.
It doesn't help the fact that by this point he kind of feels beholden to a narrative style.
Absolutely.
X-51 dialoguing with another person, and so it's this back and forth dialogue that's incredibly slow, but everyone who he talks to sounds the same.
The fucking same.
Like when he's having his dialogues with
Kyle Richmond.
Deathlock.
Oh, yeah.
Deathlock sounds exactly the same as Kyle Richmond or Medusa or any of the other people that he talks
The
with.
whole Ken King.
Shut up,
Britain
computer. Shut up, computer.
Yeah.
Shut up, computer. Shut up, computer.
Yeah,
It's like, clearly you're broken, Deathlock, because every 2 pages you're telling your computer to shut up.
Yeah,
it was
just
cute the first time. Stop it!
Yeah, there's a lot of things I have problems with just in the dialogue itself too. Not only the way that it's written, but just like a lot of your point of view characters are old men, and so they're like cranky and old, and they're literally the motivation for like 2 or 3 of the characters in this book is like, get my girlfriend back.
Well,
And it's not.
can we talk a little bit about how this book treats women?
And it's not great, and I don't love it, and I've never really loved that as a character motivation. And it takes Doctor Strange, one of my favorite Marvel characters, and devolves him into like a super boring, I'm going to go get my wife who's not actually my wife back.
Which is weird, because the thing that really upsets me about that is that they put him in a super interesting position, and then they're like, you know, that whole thing where it's like he's in the hospital of the undying and he's like the head surgeon, and you're like, wow, okay, this is going to be cool, right? We haven't gotten a lot of Doctor Strange. This is going to be cool. Here we go. And there's like, I want my girlfriend back. And you're like, oh, fuck yourself.
And that's an issue that has a goddamn, like, zombie Fing Fang Foom in it. Like a demon Fing Fang Foom, like, comes up out of the earth and is like, Fing Fang Foom reborn! And which should have been the coolest thing I've ever seen. And instead, I was already so tired of that issue because
it felt like another bullet point in the long, like, okay.
And I wanted it to be cool.
Oh, it's not fucking Paradise X X-Men, it's Paradise X Zen. That's what I was. I was like, I did not read a Paradise X X-Men, so I'm missing something.
I was thinking of the X-Men one where it's like the party,
right?
Where like all of the X-Men are there.
Yeah.
So I realized that I think something that Chard just touched on, from like you said, just kind of locked into my brain. Earth X felt like they had a list or a group of ideas and a plot narrative, and they mixed it all together and they dealt with it. Universe X, the narrative kind of had some points to it, but then they were like, here's a bigger checklist of cool things. And by the time we got to Paradise X, it was like, here is our massive list of cool things that we have to address. Let's just figure out a way to roll them out, and have the machine kind of spit them out. And so you're just kind of like, yeah, exactly. It's like, you're right. In any other book by itself, Zombie Fing Fang Foom, you should have been like, whoa. But you're like, yep, okay, that's the next crazy thing that's going on.
That was, part of the problem was that they were trying so hard to fit every single thing in that nothing got the weight that it really deserved.
Yeah.
And once again,
it was like monotone.
Where's Fool
weight.
Killer?
Yeah, you had all this stuff with the Elders of the Universe. Never paid off.
Yeah.
You had the thing with Iron Maiden going off into space to have the Eternals. She disappears from the story at that point. You had all this stuff with Doctor Strange and Clea, and then after he rescues her, she disappears, and that storyline is dropped. It's just
she's
all
pissed off at him, and she's
right. At least Odin got a little bit of closure there at the very end.
Yeah.
But you had all of these different stories and all of these plots where either they were brought in and nothing really happened with them, or they were brought up and then they vanished.
Well, you have the negative zone stuff. You have,
you have a Nihilus and Blastar who come in to attack the Baxter Building, and then they're just hanging out in the Baxter Building for 3 issues before anybody gets to deal with them. And by that time, they're like, oh, whatever, let's go back to the negative zone and you can fix this problem for us, because whatever.
Yeah. New analogy. It's a kid's water painting. Some of it is really, really cool, but some of it that should be what you think it should look like doesn't look the same, and sometimes there's just stuff off in the thing that has no use being there.
Yeah, it felt like they just dumped a bunch of cool shit they wanted in the book onto the table, and you were like, yeah, let's see how you resolve that. And then I'm still waiting.
The way that I put it to Adam is Earth X had a really strong spine.
Yeah.
You felt like the story was going somewhere, you were on a train, and you were going to get there.
Yeah.
And Universe X, it kind of it was meandering. It was kind of like this drive through the country where you're seeing all of these interesting sites, and you've got a destination that you're going to get to eventually, but you don't really care when you get there. Mm-hmm. Paradise X felt completely spineless. There was no point that they were ultimately going to, no conflict that was really going to be resolved. It's just a bunch of stuff that happened.
Well, I feel like the main story, there was a main story there. It was the dead can't die, and that we need to fix that. And I think you nailed it earlier when you're saying it wasn't given the weight it deserved, because it felt equally at the weight of all of these other weird side stories, and so it didn't feel like a sturdy story on which that other stuff could stand on.
I don't think the problem is that it didn't have a spine. I think it had 8 fucking spines, and each one was trying to begin we've talked about this before.
Monster.
If you're going to fucking sacrifice the interesting things in your story for not interesting things because you feel you need to tell everything that's in your head, that is not good storytelling.
Just
so much of storytelling is editing, and this fucking book could have used so much of that.
And, I feel like I'm just harping on the same point over and over and over again, or just bringing up and this was bad, and this was bad, and this was bad. But again, the characterization, particularly of the angels, Doctor Doom and Iron Man don't feel like themselves at all. Giant Man doesn't do anything. The Phoenix seems to be doing something, but then does nothing. You have all of these characters that don't really come to anything, and yet they're there taking up space.
And I think that might be a problem of having someone else do character designs and create all this material for you. In the Alex Ross, the way that they worked together before was, Alex Ross would do all these redesigns of these characters, and then they would tell the stories, and maybe he just redesigned too many characters, really, for this story to tell. Because I wanted so much of this to be cool. I was so excited for stuff here. But I think that it could have ended up in multiple books. And if this book had been more focused, maybe Paradise X would have sold better. And maybe he would have gotten a chance to do another X series after that, in which he could have addressed some of these other ideas.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It felt like they told him, hey, this is your last one. We don't care how well it sells. This is it, though. We can't do any more X. And so he was just get all the ideas in the book as fast as you can.
Yeah, I don't
And
think the problem
it
was
too weighty.
I mean, I feel I can't definitively say if Tony Stark and Victor Von Doom didn't feel like themselves as angels because I didn't get to spend any fucking time with them as characters.
Yeah,
they were one of the most. I like when I kind of saw that and I was like, and because there was a prologue like sketchbook,
Yeah.
and I saw that I was like, wow, that's a fucking cool idea. I'm really stoked to see what he does about this. And he doesn't do anything with it. It's Captain America walking around, this whole fucking digression with Frank Castle, this
Daredevil
whole fucking
gets his
digression
thing,
with his
the
fucking
Kingpin.
parents. Daredevil goes down. Could have been something interesting there. That's kind of swept under the rug. He just fucking walks off and they're like, well, I guess we're done with him. We're going to make somebody else a thing. Like, there are scenes where it's just like, the whole thing is like, you could have edited out. I think that if you edit out half this shit, you get rid of fucking X-51, you make your point of view character situation specific. If you had Doom being the POV character in Paradise going, now I'm an angel, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what I see happening.
Well, you
because,
have Steve Rogers sort of as a point of view character for a lot of it anyway.
Which is not bad, but it's like, it's mired down in these really fairly like, the shit with the skull, that was super interesting.
Yeah.
I felt that was handled really well. Why are we fucking dealing with fucking Steve's parents? Why are we dealing with Frank Castle? Who fucking cares?
Well, I mean, they're interesting stories to be told. My problem is, like, I'm not sure that this was the place to tell them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I guess I'm on Brant's side with, like, I don't like that all the side issues feel necessary.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a cool place
You
to
could
put
have
these.
switched.
Or you could have saved them and just told, like, that sturdy story that you told in, like, Earth X. And
Why
and
isn't
save it.
Why isn't Paradise X Devils, Paradise X Punisher? That would have been a perfect place for that fucking story. You put it all in one place,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, you can read this if you want to. Like, I think this is a story we're telling, but it's not really important to the main story, and I'm going to use that page space to kind of accentuate some of these other ideas about, like, the fluidity of thought, and about, like, these ideas that people become what they believe, and the mutations being something that we chose for ourselves, and blah, blah. Because that's just, like, that's said so many times, but it's never really fucking explored. Like, Logan goes and finds other Logan who jumps into the water and then just is like, oh, he's going away.
Well, he's going back to nature.
He's
'cause
going back
the
to nature.
missing link between cavemen and humans, which I was
Prime human, not a mutant.
super excited about. That.
Yeah. Well,
Why did they feel the need to, like, because Wolverine Origin had just happened?
Isn't that playing off of things that Chuck Austin did in his run with Romulus and...
that all came later.
Did it?
Romulus and all that stuff came
Okay.
after that.
So this was 2001 through 2003, I think, total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Including everything. And
It's 2002 to 2003.
well, the Heralds is 2001, and this is right after Wolverine Origins, the reboot retcon of his origin story.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is in here.
Right, and then they felt the need to, like, immediately undo that.
Well,
Because
I mean,
they
by
were
this
like,
time it's a parallel reality.
right, but it
I
was,
feel like people have played with the idea of Wolverine isn't a mutant. He's from a race of feral humans. Like, I feel like that's an idea that has been played around with in the past.
I mean, I can't cite anything.
I think.
well, the Chuck Austin run on X-Men I was reading was probably like 2004.
Yes, that's
Is when I remember reading it
because
I was in high school.
Grant Morrison's new X-Men run ended. It became X-Men again, and Chuck Austin took over.
Well, there was a little break. Poptopia was Joe Casey, and then it was.
I
Chuck
may be
Austin.
misremembering because I wasn't reading the X-Men comics at the time. This is just stuff that I've read about later. But I recall there being a thing at one point where it's like, yeah, Wolverine's from the Moon Tribe. That's this race of lycanthrope people.
That's in this, but I didn't know it was a reference to something previous.
I
to this.
think it is.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
I thought it was.
I mean, somebody
as well.
correct us here because I'm
Mannix, where are
remembering
you?
something that I read
Yeah,
on
right.
Wikipedia like 3 years ago.
So the Romulus, that section of stuff, Wolverine Volume 3, March 2007. Wolverine Origins number 39, August 2009. So all the stuff around him, at least, is way later than this.
Okay.
So I don't know if that lines
Maybe
up
it's
with
playing off of this.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
got
a
the
lot
order
of
reversed.
Well, there's
lot
a lot
of
of stuff
people-
going on that's playing off this.
Yeah, a lot of people have been really heavily influenced by all three of these books.
Well,
for
certainly
sure, so.
Earth X,
Specifically.
and to a
Jeff
degree,
Loeb, who did
Universe
the
X.
Romulus stuff.
I want to talk about women in this book.
Go for it.
It bugs
Let's talk about women.
the shit out of me.
That there aren't any, and the ones
well,
that are there
it's-
suck.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait.
That's
No,
very-
only the ones in the primary universe. So
I mean, like, so who do
the
we
ones
have?
in the alternate
we have,
universe are okay.
We have Thor realizing that he can be a man. He doesn't need to be a woman anymore. And just the way that's phrased, because
Well-
Loki realizes that he's this kind of shape-shifting alien, and he reverts to looking like a shape-shifting alien. But Thor looks like Thor again, because he doesn't need to be a girl anymore.
Well, also the fact that like when Loki punished Thor to become a woman,
But yeah, right.
that was weird in and of
Yeah,
itself.
no, that
because
is weird.
Loki's often like transformed into whatever the fuck he feels like, and he's like, Loki's not man or woman. Loki's Loki.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I get that, but like, why are you punishing your brother by making him a lady?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's just gonna make Thor mad? Because it kind of did, but it also didn't really bother him.
Yeah,
that
he
I
didn't
brought
really
up
care
that
that
point in the just J. Michael Straczynski bringing Loki back as a woman,
Yeah.
and there being some.
It's weird.
There's
Yeah,
Sue Storm, who does fuck all.
Except for alternate
this-
Sue Storm.
Yeah, well,
Alternate Sue Storm.
Alternate
cuts
Sue
the top
Storm-
off
yeah.
the-
Alternate
Alternate Sue Storm is
when she's
is
with Namor,
a
she
bad
just stands
motherfucker.
there.
No, she cuts the roof off of the.
Oh no, yeah,
Oh, the
she fucking
opera-
rips the
of
whole
the
roof off the
Oval
White
Office.
House.
Yeah, and like save Spider Girl
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that stuff, which I think is the most you see, except for
Yeah.
Spider Girl and Venom or
Yeah.
whatever.
But
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah,
they don't play any part after their thing. And
No,
the,
but
the
I
thing
did
that
like-
pissed me off the most. Hold on, I have to get this out. Was fucking Medusa,
Yeah.
who does nothing
Except cry.
but fucking. Has everybody in this room seen Disney's Tarzan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarzan's mom, voiced by Glenn Close, does fuck all in that movie except look fucking sad and pathetic, all right? And this is Glenn Close. This is
Yeah.
an Academy Award winning actress. You could have had her doing anything, and what you have her is going like looking pathetic and sad the whole thing. And that's what Medusa does during this entire fucking series. This is the queen of the
Medusa's
fucking
awesome.
Inhumans.
Yeah.
This is a fucking like battle commander queen.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody who would fucking like. This is not somebody that's sitting on the sidelines. This
Well,
is somebody
if
who
you're
will fuck your shit up.
If you're reading modern Marvel at all, you know how cool Medusa is.
And like, what does she do? She just fucking sits there and is like,
She exposits a lot about the burden that Britain has to.
I
bear.
mean, which is
a
interesting.
lot.
a lot of talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you say she exposits, what she really does is vomit the same fucking line over and 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 over again. And she does nothing.
Look pretty badass in this, though.
Oh, she looks amazing. Like
I just
my
love
favorite
Medusa's
part of
design
this.
always, though. She's
My
just,
favorite
like,
part
so
of this,
cool.
as with Earth X and Universe X, I think the character designs are awesome throughout most
Well, I
of
dig
this.
the art in this actually quite
Yeah,
a bit.
I did
Like,
too. And I
it's more
appreciate-
modern than the other ones, and it is less like abstract. It's less. It's not pushing as far. Like it feels more mainstream. It feels like stuff you've seen before,
And it's
but I
consistent.
still enjoy it.
It is consistent, which I appreciate.
If we're going to mention for a moment good parts of
Yeah.
the series, Karnak taking out the entire Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
Pretty
awesome. I also really appreciated Captain Britain fucking writing up on his, what was it, gargoyle? Being like, and fucking up Mephisto, because that was a moment, you kind of sets you up for the whole fucking series.
Yeah, that would have been great if it wasn't for then the like Aaron Stack's self-masturbatory, and then he left Excalibur as a way to lead death.
Oh, yeah, no,
because
that
death
whole last
wasn't
page-
here
if
and
you
all
just
this stuff, and it was just
ignore
like
that
it was just.
Okay, honestly, I looked at that page, I scanned it, I was like,
I don't need
I
to
don't care.
read.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
fucking care.
I did that
Don't
a
fucking
lot.
care. And then I went back and I read the part where Captain Britain comes out of the ground with fucking Excalibur and fucks up Mephisto again, because that was awesome.
I did appreciate that this series in general gives Captain Britain his due as far as like relative power level and importance in the Marvel universe.
Absolutely.
Because I think too often because he's more associated with the X books, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're like a third tier guy who punches people, and
like,
he's just kind of like, oh,
I'm the protector
I'm
of
the
this
embodiment
reality.
of Avalon. You know, and there's some good series with him in it. Like there's a whole entire Pete Wisdom miniseries where Captain Britain's in there and they do some great stuff.
Captain
Peter
Britain and the
Wisdom and
MI13.
Yes. Good series.
Yeah. So, like, there are moments where certain writers have managed to make Captain Britain shine, and I'm sure there's more stuff actually published under the UK brand over time, when, like, Excalibur was published in Britain, where Captain Britain has, like, depth and worth and stuff, but I feel like most of the time when he shows up in the most Marvel comics, it's kind of like, yeah, there's that guy, like, cheap Superman knockoff. Oh, you're weak.
Britain's Captain America.
Yeah, it's like you're weak because you're not near that stone that you're so hot to trot for with Excalibur in it, huh? And he's like, yeah. Like, it's like, God, come on.
Okay, whatever.
It's a shame that Captain Britain himself is kind of meh. Because the Captain Britain core is interesting.
Yeah.
And has just recently, as of when we're recording this, shown up again in the events that are going on in the Marvel universe right now, with all the craziness that's happening and the collisions of universes and all that.
See our most recent back matter.
Yes, that just went out last week.
They've always kind of policed time and stuff too.
Well, they policed alternate dimensions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the designation 616 comes from in universe.
Yeah.
Is the Captain Britain Corps designation.
So Captain Britain is like a weird fusion between Captain America and the Green Lantern.
Yes.
Captain Lantern?
Sort of.
Wait,
Captain
Green
Lantern.
Captain.
Britain.
Green America.
Britain Green.
Britain Green.
We've actually talked
Manchester
about
Black. Wait.
Captain Lantern on an X episode.
Have we?
Yes, I went back and I listened to both of them before I read this, and there was Brant talking about Captain Lantern, and then you brought up the lightning shield or some shit. Laser shield.
This is all new. Oh, yeah, because I was trying to remember who had the laser shield.
Yes.
The Captain America
the
Nomad.
photonic shield.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Whatever.
You know what I'm talking about. It's a
Photons.
laser shield. Made of lasers.
It is a laser shield.
I don't know what it is. I was asking you guys what it was, if I recall. I should have gone back and listened to those episodes beforehand.
I thought about it, but then I was like, no. It's like I said,
It's hard to devote this much time to this series and then be like, I'm going to go back and listen to the podcast. You're like, oh, fuck
I was so close to rereading Earth X and Universe X this week, and I was like,
God.
there's
I
no
could
way.
not have
I
done
feel as if one day in the future I will do that. I will read all three of these, and maybe I'll have a long plane trip or something, or a long trip in a car, and I'll do it because...
And your phone is broken.
And my
the
phone is
internet
broken,
doesn't
and the
exist
internet
anymore.
doesn't exist anymore, and the apocalyptic wasteland stretches out before me like so many miles.
I was going to say, you're going to be waiting for your Mad Max gas ration.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
gonna,
you're gonna be
I'm
like,
gonna
well, I got
sit,
a couple of days.
and I'm going to
so.
read them all, and I'm going to go, okay, now maybe these things make a little more sense. I'm glad I read this. I feel like I finally have closure, because I feel like Paradise X has been sitting on my shelf mocking me for fucking
I honestly
years.
think
I agree.
that there's a perfect opportunity for Marvel to take all of this, package it into an omnibus collection, and title it the Earth X Trilogy, know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, because they should have just packed that shit up.
If you're listening,
Earlier.
Marvel execs, get to it right fucking now.
I want half
You
a percent.
could make
That's all
a
I'm looking
bigger.
for.
So right now, I think the biggest omnibus I've seen is the Conan one, which is fucking huge. It's something like 15 pounds and 4 inches thick. Beat it. You can do it with Earth X. You're sitting on a
I don't
huge
think
thing.
you can
Nobody will be
beat
able
it.
to
I don't
lift
think that
it
would
and
be
read
bigger.
it. You'll need
I
a
don't
crane.
think it'll be bigger.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it's more pages.
It's like 75 issues altogether.
Well, I will say this: they
That's
released a
not-
special edition hardback copy of Earth X that was almost 600 pages. If you did that with all of these, you would have 1,800 pages, and that is by far the biggest fucking omnibus out there.
Okay.
My parents used to have a copy of the Webster's Dictionary, like the full-on, like super crazy one
The-
that was
like,
literally
yeah, like
like
the
4
thick
inches
one.
thick. That
Yeah.
we actually used to block open doors, and I used to joke that it would be, something we'd assault.
It's the power of language.
Yeah, the power of language. That's right.
That's why they say the pen is mightier than the sword, because the pen wrote that fucking thing, and you could beat somebody to death with it,
I'm pretty sure that's not.
or
why
use
they
it as
say
a
that.
shield. No, it is.
I
I
don't
looked
think
it up.
so. I don't think
think
so.
it is.
I think
Anyways.
that's the origin of that.
Are we good? Do we have to devote more time talking?
I just want to throw out there that it's not just us. We've gotten listeners who have written into us over the course of this week saying, "Oh my God, this book."
We have gotten a couple really interesting fan emails that were
Well,
like,
but
And
that
I
book,
feel
essentially.
bad because I really do love Earth X and Universe X, and I like Jim Krueger as a writer, but this work just falls down on so many levels.
I don't feel
It does.
I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad either. I'm glad I enjoyed more than I didn't like.
He got a chance to live his glory.
And the other thing is that
more than
I have to give it up to him, man, because he was in it to win it. Like, this is no small undertaking, and it must have taken so much fucking research and so much plotting and planning to do all of this that my fucking hat is off.
Yeah.
The one thing that I said, I think, on Earth X and Universe X, or at least implied if I didn't say, was
Laser shield.
Laser shield. The second thing that I said was, if you
Blazing
have
sword.
if you have a encyclopedic knowledge of the Marvel Universe, I think you'll get more out of these than someone who won't. And I always thought that was like really the dividing factor between who enjoyed Earth X and who didn't. Was like, if you're a longtime Marvel fan, I think that you enjoy this more than someone who may be new to Marvel and reading Earth X for the first time and going, I don't really get what's going on here. I don't think that holds true for Paradise X. I think you don't like having an encyclopedic knowledge of the Marvel Universe doesn't necessarily make this work inherently.
It's not going to help you.
Agree.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, it does help.
I think it helps. Well, and I think it's the difference between something that's like great versus good or okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the best film, the best stories, the best whatever. You can read it and not be enmeshed in its backstory stuff, and still feel like you got something out of it. But then if you happen to know more, then like, wow, great. But I think by the time you get to Paradise X, like you not only have to have an encyclopedic knowledge potentially of Marvel, you need to have an encyclopedic memory of the first 2 volumes of that thing, except for the part where he then turns around and tells you about it all again in the first 2.
And I don't even know that really helps you that much, because I think there's just like narrative decisions that get in the way of like how much I can possibly enjoy this series.
I feel like on a certain level, this book reminded me of Grant Morrison. And the way that he treats the DC universe as the DC universe that exists in his head. And he does things on that basis. And so it's like you really have to have an encyclopedic understanding of what's going on in Grant Morrison's head to grok some of the things that he does. And I think in the same way, like, this has climbed so far down the rabbit hole in terms of this is Jim Krueger's interpretation of the Marvel Universe. And you have to have an understanding and an appreciation for that to really get what's good that's going on in this series.
But I feel like even if you knew exactly what Jim Krueger knew about Earth X and Universe X, I still think you would have trouble with this book.
Maybe this is a Lovecraftian object lesson that the more you expose yourself to the totality of the Marvel Universe's history, the crazier you will become when you attempt to write it down.
That's probably fair.
That's fair.
Maybe this is just a slow, unfortunate unwinding of Jim Krueger's sanity as he's like, I've learned so much about Marvel, I must now try to process this.
Well, he ran right out the window after finishing it. Right out the window.
You're thinking of Exorcist.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
That's The Exorcist.
I'm shaking my head at you.
That's because Satan was in him.
Yeah. Spoilers on a movie that's...
Spoiler alert,
I have no idea. We
1977.
didn't name names. We didn't name names. I not a
All
spoiler.
right, that's fair.
All right.
Spoiler.
I feel like
That guy
I
jumps out the
said
window at the end of
everything that I could
Exorcist.
conceivably say about this book.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I read it
If
one
you-
time,
yeah.
if for no other reason
Yeah,
to
I
think-
say that I
I'm
had.
done.
If you've read Earth X and Universe X, like, why not?
Yeah,
Like,
but
you might as well try it.
Yeah.
this is not a book that I'm ever going to need to read a second time.
I felt the same way about Earth X and Universe X, though, to be fair.
Well, I've read Earth X probably 3 times and Universe X twice, and I feel like I could read those again in another 10 years.
I don't know.
This one, not so much.
It's going to take a while before I
For
go
me,
back
it's
to those.
Earth X, definitely. Like, I can read Earth X again. I don't know about the other 2. I mean, there are parts of both Universe X and Paradise X that I really liked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
And I feel that Marvel has been very successful about culling all of those best elements to selectively add to the 616.
And this is something that Toby and I have talked about, I think on and off mic, is just like the What If universes and the Elseworlds universes are great testing grounds for what can work in the main in the main universe. You know, you had stuff like
Tobiah
Red
wrote a blog
Sun.
post called "Why There Must Always Be an Elseworlds."
Yeah,
I
like
did.
Red Sun and Kingdom Come and all the best elements from those.
What
and,
if Conan came to the future?
What if that's great, and they take the
I
best
thought he
elements
actually did
of-
do that.
from that.
I thought it was a what if.
I think that's.
What if
I think you're thinking
Conan-
of Beastmaster.
What if Conan and Judge Dredd became
Two.
bros?
I think it's Beastmaster.
Then Justice.
2.
Well, no, because Judge Dredd is the law and Conan is a thief.
Yeah, and
They
a
would
pirate.
not get along, although that
depends
would
on
be an
which
Conan
epic
we're talking
conflict.
about.
Yeah, Conan's a pirate, soldier, thief,
And eventually
mercenary, king.
Make it along when he's a king.
Because then
Conan
he's
would
the
be
law.
like, you go do justice, and Judge Dredd would be like, yes.
Yeah.
Never know.
Well, Conan can also do justice, though. So in those instances, he and Judge Dredd would
Hyborian
really-
justice.
Yeah, Conan is kind of a law unto himself.
Yeah. The law of the sword.
I am the law. I am the law. I am the law. All right, I'm good.
Was that Stallone and Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I am
It
the
wasn't. It
law.
didn't really work.
I am the law.
It's close, guys.
right.
You have to make it more indistinguishable. You
I am the
can't-
law.
It can't be words that better.
Use that app on your phone, Joe, and speed it up.
I'm gonna
and slow
do
it
it.
down.
I'm gonna
Get
do
the
it right
fart
now.
machine out again. The pitch changing.
Is this
Machine.
actually a thing?
No, it's the way he was doing earlier. Though.
Well, no, I know.
Joe-
Is this actually a thing we're going to do on the air?
No,
though?
we're not. We're really not doing that.
Joe discovered a sampler on his phone.
On my
Yeah.
new toy.
But instead of doing that,
Let's move on to
Oh,
recommendations.
and what
that thing.
phone is that, Joe?
I feel on the spot. I got an iPhone 6 Plus.
It's a 6 big.
It's a 6 big.
It's
and
a phone
perfect.
that's made just for Joe.
It really is.
And actually,
It really-
weirdly, it looks like a regular size phone in Joe's hand.
It does.
I've said it
And
before,
that's
and
sad.
I'll say it again. I don't have hands. I got mitts.
It'll be like one of those optic illusion jokes in movies, but if Joe handed me the phone, it would be like a 2 foot. It would be an iPad, and then I would hand it back to Joe, and it would be a tiny phone in his hand.
I do finally feel like I have a smartphone that fucking like I'm like, wow, I can use this and see it and type on it, and everything is groovy.
It literally that in a smaller person's hand would look fucking.
Well,
enormous.
you know what? We're gonna take a picture of it and post it on the fucking Facebook group, and people can
looks
make up
like
their
a
own mind.
normal
People
phone
know
in
what
your
iPhone
hand.
6 Plus looks like.
Well, not in Joe's hand. It looks
What
like a tiny phone.
Tiny phone by a tiny company.
All right, Joe, post it on the Facebook page.
I will take a
Joe,
picture and post it on the Facebook page.
Better yet, what should we read next week? What
I'm
would
gonna.
you like to read?
This is a book I haven't been here for a couple weeks, so I've been holding on to this pick. I am going to pitch the Auteur by Rick Spears and James Callahan.
my hero.
I read this, so I've been sitting here in this office looking at the first issue of it. It's up on the
taped
wall.
up on my wall.
If you watch Top of the Stack, not to bring up, I know a lot of you are sad that Top of the Stack is not around for the holidays, but
Get hype! It's coming back.
it's gonna come
January.
back.
Hype.
So, and just it's such a visually stunning cover that I got the first 2 issues of it in the Oni Humble Bundle, and I read it, and it fucking blew my mind.
Yes.
So I got my hands on the rest of it, and I devoured it.
Yeah.
Holy shit! This book is one of the most brilliantly colored, amazingly illustrated, just like wackadoodle fucking crazy ass things I
Yeah.
have read in a while.
You want to talk about Lovecraftian? The
Holy
color palette
shit.
in this story is Lovecraftian.
And
it will
it-
drive you insane.
Like it is the perfect manifestation of the future of comic books. This fucking book tells a story that you have not seen anywhere, that you have not experienced anywhere, not like this. And holy shit, I enjoyed the shit out of it, and I really want to talk about it. It's 5 issues. Oni puts it out.
It's about a corrupt movie producer who had
It
a
is
big
about-
flop in his last movie,
yeah.
so he's now doing a movie about Abraham Lincoln as a serial killer. or a guy in an Abraham Lincoln mask.
Mask as a serial
And so
killer.
he decides, like, oh, the way to make my movie authentic is to go get an actual mass murderer and have him be my murder consultant.
And that's-
in the meantime, I'm on a special mix of peyote, snake venom, and other uppers and downers
It's-
that my mystical California shaman has given me to try to counteract the fact that I'm actually just a horrible person and a director. And it is a scathing, very scathing look at the way that Hollywood operates.
Oh,
and
fuck
just,
yes.
It's nuts.
It's
and
one part Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, one part Ed Wood, and one part I don't fucking know what.
my favorite part about this is no one in the world is talking about it, and every week I would recommend it on top of the second, be like, I loved it, Auteur is still great, please read it. No one would ever write in and talk about it. I don't see other websites reviewing and talking about it. It's like this book didn't exist for anyone else
Well, it
but me
fucking
for like
exists.
6 months. Like no one was talking about this book, and I was like, please, someone talk about this with me. Just someone talk it, because I feel like people should at least be upset about some of the imagery in the
Oh,
book,
God, yes.
or something. Just this should be somewhere. And so I'm excited that you guys that you've read it, and I know that
I read
Toby
the first
flipped
issue,
through.
and honestly, like, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I cannot argue that it's not brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it really is.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I mean,
in the best possible way.
This book is fucking great. I feel so many things about it that, holy shit.
I'm so
Did it
glad that
touch
you
you?
read it.
Down deep inside.
I bought
where
all
you
the
It touched me in a
singles.
dark place
Like
that I
a
don't
woman.
like to go, and also in every other good place. And
I don't buy single issues for comics very often,
No.
except for the covers. I bought every issue of this series.
it is the most. It's the most incredible book I've read in a while. Like, I have not. I finished this book and I immediately wanted to start on page 1 and read it again. I immediately was like, we need to fucking talk about
And
this.
there's going to be more, I hope, because there needs
God
to be.
damn, I hope so, because Jesus fuck, it's, oh my God.
My only interaction with another person who's read this book was I was walking through Comic-Con and I looked over and there was this stack of the Auteur, and I was like, hey, it's the Auteur. That book's crazy. And the girl behind the counter that was selling the books at the Oni booth was like, isn't it? And then I walked away, and that was it. That's the only time I've ever
It's
talked to anyone about
seriously,
that book.
This book
so I
is
want to
like
know what people
if
think
Howard
about it.
Chaykin's brain and the good parts of Garth Ennis's brain and Matt Fraction's brain all fucked and had a brain baby. That is the brain that conceived of this fucking idea right there. That is the brain that conceived of the
I
Auteur.
don't know if you just sold me or unsold me.
Oh God!
Now
Welcome
I just
to the
imagined
internet.
like a bunch of crangs, like just getting it on to like some, to some.
Is that like
you
a
know,
bunch of
Barry
Draculas?
Yeah,
A bunch of Krangs?
yeah.
Yeah,
I know that they're not called crangs. Okay,
They are
they're
called Krang.
They're Utrons.
They're-
all right, I know what they're called.
No, they're all called Cranks.
they're
and all
Krangs.
vampires are Draculas.
I just needed
They're
you to say
Krangs.
that on the air, that you knew what they were called, because I didn't.
They're It's the Utron Empire. Come on.
All right.
Okay.
I pass.
I'm not following that recommendation.
Okay. I can go. I'll go. It's another week of
Oh my
Image.
God, we're going counterclockwise?
Yeah, everyone get afraid. Yeah, well,
I am
Some-
very afraid.
it's another week of Image. I've forgotten which week. Nobody email me. I'll forget again. I think it's like 18 or 19, probably.
yeah, around. Let's say 18.
So
17,
I've been
one of
reading a
those.
lot of Image
27.
series, and I tried to find something that was a single trade because I know we just read something like really dense, and I wanted to find something that's like, hey, we can read it, it's one and done. So there's a 5-issue miniseries that Kieran Gillian and Ryan Kelly and Jordi Belair did together. Jordi Belair is the artist on this one, called 3 in Image, and it's 5 issues, and it is set in Greece in like Spartan times. It's like several I think it's like 50 or 100 years after the Thermopylae, the Battle of Thermopylae, the 300.
That's a Peloponnesian Wars, I think.
I don't know. They were fighting,
Anyway,
and the 300 Spartans went to try to hold off the entire Persian army at the gates of Thermopylae, this specific location, and they were essentially massacred over the course of 2 days. And then the Greek army shows up at some point and actually like defeats that army. So It's kind of a triumphant story in Greek history, but this is after Sparta has kind of fallen from grace. But it involves three specific people, these three slaves to the Spartan Empire, and so this like garrison or group of Spartan troops wind up in a small farming slave village and are like, you need to provide provisions for us. We're your masters. Like, you have to do this for us. And they, as a joke, are like getting some of the slaves drunk and making them do stupid things. And one of the slaves speaks out against these Spartans that are there, and they go to kill everyone. They overreact, or they react accordingly, depending on how you feel about slaves and slave masters. And they go to kill everyone, and the slaves of the Spartans rebel and kill these Spartan warriors. They like ambush them in their home, and obviously the Spartan army is not happy with this, so they send out another group of soldiers to go hunt down and track down these slaves, and there are only like 3 left surviving from that battle with the Spartan soldiers, and so they run across the Greek countryside trying to evade Spartan warriors, and it's a cool adventure story, and it's kind of these unlikely compatriots running across the country together because they're not overly fond of one another. They just happen to be slaves in the same village. It's not like they're friends. So it's a cool story. It's a lot of interesting imagery and kind of Greek heroic legend kind of tradition built into the story. And I think the art's really solid. I like it quite a bit. It's, it kind of classic Greek-looking stuff, and the colors are very kind of Vertigo-y, and I don't know. I like it. It was fun. I read it last week, and I kind of dug it.
Neat.
So everyone should check out 3 by Kieran Gillian.
Cool beans. Shall I go next then?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can go next.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Go for it, kid.
I didn't want to follow Joe being like, this is the best book ever with. This is a book that is hard to read. Okay, so I brought a redemption pick that I've brought either once or twice. I couldn't remember which, but again, a short book after what we just read. This is Brian K. Vaughan's Pride of Baghdad with art by Nico Henrichon. And it's inspired by a true story about some lions who escape from an Iraqi zoo after the bombing in 2003, I believe. I believe it was 2003. And unlike the actual story, these lions talk.
They didn't talk in the real story?
In the real world? I don't think so.
Oh, they were just regular lions?
I think so.
Okay.
Regular lions can talk, can't they?
That's what Aslan taught me.
I assume that he was the prototype of all lions.
He was. I'm really surprised to hear that lions can't talk.
Wasn't
Because there was
he
also that
Jesus?
show with the lions that talked.
Were they puppet
John
lions?
Goodman. John Goodman
yeah,
was
that was good. It was done by DreamWorks. Donkey from Shrek guest starred. They were like I don't think they were lions. I think they were actually tigers. They were the white tigers that belonged to Simon and Roy, and they lived in a zoo in Las Vegas, and it lasted like 1 season.
It
was kind of funny.
Specifically talking about a TV show. It was called like Pride of the Family or Family. Pride,
Yeah,
something like
Pride of
that.
the Family sounds right.
And it was about lions, but
It was on in like 2006.
You guys are all crazy. None of those things happened.
It's a real show.
In other words, Pride of Baghdad.
Is about some a group of lions escape from the zoo, go through hardships in Iraq, and find out what the true meaning of freedom is.
It's like Homeward Bound for lions.
it is. Or like the journey
Except
of
really
Natty Gann.
dark.
Well, Homeward Bound was dark.
For a second, I thought he was going to say the true meaning of Christmas,
It is that time of year.
which would be a much better story.
No, Pride of Baghdad's good.
Yeah, I like it too. It is like Homeward Bound for lions.
It is very hard to read, though, because in the first few pages, there's a lion rape scene.
Yeah,
And
I forgot about that.
so people who aren't like, are just like, oh,
Trigger warning.
it's going to be fun. Like, it's lions.
It's like the Lion
who
King.
talk.
Well, Lion King's pretty dark too.
What part of the Lion King is dark?
All parts.
The death
the
of
part with
Mufasa.
Mufasa.
There's just a bunch of lions hanging out.
You're right. Never
Sure.
mind.
Okay, Chard. Yes. That's what
Right?
happens.
Yep.
The movie's only 20 minutes long.
That's right.
They just sing Hakuna Matata and everyone goes home happy.
That's
Yep.
exactly what
That's the
happened.
Put the
version my mom
lime
let
in
me
the
watch.
coconut.
That's the right version.
Yep.
Brant, what would you like to read?
So I was reading Paradise X and the Herald's mini opener thing, and I was thinking to myself, I've read this before, but somebody did it better. And I was right. And to create a full circle connection, it was written by Judd Winnick. So I propose Exiles number 1 through 19, which are the first 3 arcs of the awesome X-Men offshoot series that features Blink from Age of Apocalypse coming together with other time-traveling alternate universe X-Men and others later. Most of them are X-Men characters in the beginning, though. As they have hilarious adventures through time. And the original book was kind of written with a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek humorous
gets dark,
element,
though,
but it gets
quick.
pretty dark pretty fast.
Yeah, I love that book. It's
So-
super
Morph is
good.
also in that book, right?
Yes.
Second best thing Judd Winnick ever wrote was Exiles.
It's up there. It's
I-
one of his better works.
I
yeah.
read part of this series, although I'm not sure if I read the Winnick stuff or after he left, because there were 2 or 3 different writers on this series.
Do you know how
different
many
arcs.
issues Winnick wrote?
Not off the top of my
I
head.
think.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't remember.
There's 100 there's 100
It's long.
issues in the first volume, in the
Yeah.
first series.
I was.
Yeah, it
but I don't
went,
think he did
it
that. I
went
was
on for a
curious, I
long
don't know.
time. And I feel like I just saw something that was referencing it.
I think the only Exiles I've ever read was that House of M tie-in one.
Oh,
It's a good,
that's a
Poor-
weird one.
Poor.
it's a good series, though.
Yeah, it's really good.
Was there anything else that you want to say about it? Or?
Not really. Just time traveling X-Men. Time traveling alternate. Basically, I think a lot of people pitch it as like Sliders meets What If.
Yeah, it's like Sliders X-Men.
It's kind of like Sliders meets Quantum Leap meets X-Men, because the whole thing is that they're jumping from reality to reality to fix a problem,
Yeah.
to like stabilize the multiverse.
And eventually
Kills.
another team shows up and shenanigans ensue.
Well, I love the shit
a
out of
certain
Sliders.
Yeah, this is
Well,
You'd
very
love
much like
this,
Quantum
Cade.
Leap,
Yeah.
which,
So
Great show.
Winnick
except don't watch the last episode.
wrote to almost halfway
Okay.
is what it looks like.
Okay.
And Tony Bedard took over, or Bedard, maybe?
I think it's Bedard.
Bedard took over writing from 46 to 89, and then Chris Claremont came on, and everybody went crazy.
Oh, yeah. Like you do.
When you read Chris Claremont stuff.
All right. Well, I was going to bring a book that I read in single issues and enjoyed and didn't realize the trade had come out until I went to the comic shop this last week and I saw Mr. Mannix and he had a copy in his hand to give to Gabby, who was going on vacation,
And then
because
you
she hadn't read either.
Stole it from him.
I was going to pitch this book, but one of our listeners wrote in and pitched a book to me that I have actually pitched a couple times before.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to pitch again tonight. So the book that I was going to pitch, I'm going to save for next week. Here's a hint for you. Created by Alyssa Milano. Yes, that Alyssa Milano.
No, we talked about this before, and
It's called
I was going to
Electric
bring it, and you were like, you should wait till there's more. And I was like, but Toby, it's done.
Yeah.
It's called Teen
It
Spirit.
is only 4 issues.
Charmed.
And you were like,
Charmed season 5.
I don't know. Anyway.
And anyway,
In any case, I was
Who's
confused.
the boss? Season whatever.
so for this week, I have brought Hedge Knight, Volume 1 and 2 by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
And if you have not heard my previous pitches, these are adaptations. The first one was originally published by Devil's Due Publishing. It was then republished along with the second volume by Marvel. And
Under
these
the
are
Dable Brothers
adaptation...
imprint.
What's that?
It was the Dable Brothers imprint of Marvel. It
Okay.
was like their literary imprint for a while that
Gotcha.
like Anita Blake Vampire Hunter was published under and all kinds of weird
Um,
junk.
But these are adaptations of short stories that Martin wrote set in the Game of Thrones universe like 100-something years before what's going on in the books and the TV series. And they star a knight named Duncan, a.k.a. Dunk, and his squire, Egg. And the first story is about how they met. And the second story is just an adventure that they have. And there are these kind of two short, fun adventures set in the Game of Thrones universe. You'll recognize like a lot of the houses and the style. They're really well done. They're really colorful, and they're just fun stories to read. And we're getting to the point of the year where I'm starting to think about the next season of Game of Thrones being a thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, I totally want to read these.
Yeah, the Targaryens are on the throne during this, so that's really
Yeah, this is kind of like during
interesting.
the golden age of the Targaryen rule.
And Toby pitched this last time, and I borrowed it from him after he pitched it and read it. And I
did
The art's really nice.
I dug it, so it is a very cool story.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones at all, it's a great couple of series to read.
Yeah, definitely. If you like Game of Thrones, you should be checking this out.
Fun.
And if you're ever interested in reading the short stories, they were published in the collections Dream Song and Dream Song 2.
And was there a third short story?
I think there is.
I think there is a third short story. I don't believe there is a third adaptation yet. So yeah, that's my pitch. And thank you, and I hope I'm saying this right, Andre, because it's Andre with a J, but I think it's still pronounced Andre.
I don't know.
Who recommended it?
Yeah, I read the email, but I have no idea how to say it.
Yeah, there are 3, Dunk.
Yes.
Hedge Knight, Sworn Sword, and the Mystery Knight.
And Hedge Knight and Sworn Sword
Oh,
have
the
been
Mystery
published.
Night was the crossover with Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
And so
remember
I am
that one.
pitching
That was good.
both volumes.
Mystery
I
Knight was
wanna read
published
that
in
now.
Warriors.
All right.
So, Joe.
Exiles.
That was fast.
So, Cade.
Chard's like, ooh.
Auteur.
So, Brant.
I want to go with 3.
I am also going to vote for 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I dig it. It's good. I want to vote for the Auteur. You know that.
Oh, of
But
course.
I can't now.
No.
Tie. I also, my second pick
Would have been
was
Exiles.
Exiles.
Well,
Which
if I change my vote to
Also-
Exiles, which I really want to read,
Are
You
we
can't change
changing
your
votes
vote.
now?
No.
I don't think
there's
we're allowed
no
to do
changing
that.
votes.
I
I
would
said
picked
Auteur,
Exile.
and then I was like, I should have picked Exiles.
Exiles is my second pick, but since I can't vote for either of those, I'm going with the Hedge Knight. Because I like it, and it's one of the only things I can vote for that's left.
It is the only thing left that you can vote for. If you can't
Or
create
Pride
a
of
tie.
Baghdad.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can vote for
Oh, yeah, I
Pride
guess
of
you could.
Baghdad.
That's right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
there's
can
2
vote for
books.
what?
Pride of Baghdad.
I could vote for Bride of Baghdad, which is also excellent, so I'll vote for both.
Good deal.
He can't take his vote back, but you can vote for 2
You
because
can,
it doesn't
split,
matter.
you can split your vote in half.
No, I'm voting twice.
Half a vote for
I'll
the
vote
Hedge Knight.
once for Pride of Baghdad and once for
All
the
right.
Hedge Knight.
We have a 3-way tie then.
No, we don't.
For second
We're reading
place.
Yeah.
3.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's an image book. It's about Spartans, and it's bloody. A lot of people die.
Awesome.
So,
That's
Get
exactly
ready.
what
Oh,
I
well.
need to cleanse my palate of Paradise X.
yeah, it's short,
Mass
sweet.
murder.
It's really quick read. I read it in like a half an hour. It was
So it'll be our shortest episode.
And that
I think there's
will-
a lot actually
to talk about.
maybe
it'll,
because
it'll
there's
give all of our listeners extra time to finish Nausicaa.
yeah, because we got
Yeah.
a lot of reading to do.
and to write questions.
Yeah.
Trilogies.
Write us in questions if you
Read,
have questions about about 3.
Yeah, read 3 and
Yeah.
then write us. Tell us what you thought. Ask us questions, and we'll.
We didn't get any questions about Paradise
Yeah, we just
X.
got
we
people-
just got hate on Paradise X,
Yeah.
which is fair. We kind
that's
of
what
all
we
were in the
did.
same
So-
boat.
There
on
is
that
one
unfortunately.
disappointing aspect to this round of voting. I actually thought for a second that I was going to sweep the 4-peat there, but I didn't.
Well,
Sorry,
I would
Brant.
have. I'd have helped you out, man.
Yeah,
I wanted those Exiles.
can't win them all.
I
I thought more
honestly,
people were going to
I
vote
would,
for Auteur. That's why I did it.
I would read Exiles, but I'm marveled out for right now.
I'm
Take
just
a
going to
break.
say this. I'm bringing the Auteur back until we
Oh,
vote
please
for it.
do. I'm going to vote
No,
for
I mean
it
next
every
week.
time.
Oh, whatever.
And the week after that,
Yeah.
and the week I'm going to pull a Brant.
You know,
So,
I almost
like,
brought
seriously,
Captain Marvel
Everybody keeps
today.
talking
I almost
that.
did too, but then I realized
I'm
that
going to do
Kaylee
it
really needs
because
to be the one to say
there's either
opinion.
that or I'll just have a fucking back matter about it.
You know what?
But
I'll
I don't
bring
wanna
it
do that.
in 38 weeks.
Okay, if we haven't voted, I am bringing it until we vote for it. So if you have to bring it in 38 weeks,
And then we'll
I will
both bring it.
probably fucking
And
shot
then
myself.
we'll
by
both
then.
bring it then, and then we'll at least have like 2 chances.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for reading Paradise X, and please write us in with your questions. You can always email us at contact@viewfromthegutters.com.
viewfromthegutters.com.
Yeah, with your questions
Presumably.
for next episode.
You can commiserate with me
And,
about how these fuckers have no taste.
And we're going to be doing more back matters. So
yeah,
lots
some
of
more
taste.
back matters are coming out. We got
Yes.
a long run coming out next week. Top of the Stack comes back in January, and if you want to hear more of me, I'm on Out of the Fridge every week too. So
I am
And
not.
a mysterious program about beer, presumably, at
Yes.
some point in the future.
yes,
and
look for
other
that
random
soon.
things that may pop up. In
Yeah, there's a lot coming up
in the
soon,
blogosphere,
so.
in the podcastosphere. Okay, I gotta go now. I have macaroni and cheese waiting for me at home.
All right, bye everybody. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to View from the Gutters. I hope our recommendations have inspired you to go out and find some new comics you'll enjoy. Join us next time for a discussion of our selected title, but like every week, we encourage you to read all of the recommended books. In the meantime, please leave us an iTunes review. It really does help new listeners find the show. You can also like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at ViewFRTHGutters. Feel free to email us at contact@viewfromthegutters.com. Please send us any questions, comments, or recommendations you might have. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we post new videos every week. And thanks again for listening. And as always, keep reading.